The Watchers is the newest horror movie playing in theaters. This film had my attention for a few reasons. It's M. Night Shyamalan's daughter directing this film, and well, it was just mainly that. Whatever. I thought it was very interesting just on that fact alone. You know, we saw Robin Williams' daughter direct Lisa Frankenstein this year. Um, and so it's kind of interesting seeing these kids of actors, directors go on and do something similar to their parent. And sometimes it works out. You get a Sofia Coppola to Francis Ford Coppola, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So, like Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, or whatever his name is, I forget. I don't really give a shit. But, like, this movie, I think, shows that his daughter clearly has potential as a director. And she does a really good job with this movie in terms of atmosphere, suspense, and direction. At least for the first half of that movie. See, I was really into the first half of this movie. I was like, oh, okay, where's this going? Kind of going with it. And then the more it just went along, it kind of lost me. And I think that's because the first act of this movie is really interesting. You got these creatures, the Watchers. You're like, what are they? Who are they? And then they take too long to feed you that information. I like movies that are a slow burn. I like that about movies. But this movie doesn't do a good job of that. So I'm sitting here like, okay, where are we going? We're going to get more here. And just kept giving me that slow ride to it. And it was frustrating me. I was frustrated. And the longer it went along, it just made me more frustrated. And I wasn't really sure what was happening here. This movie was a very interesting movie because of its direction and its atmosphere, but I think it just lost me because the main thing that I think bugs me here is just I think a lot of the Watchers stuff, I'm not going to spoil anything, you could kind of guess. Like, when it's finally revealed what they are and what their deal is, I'm like, oh, well, that was pretty obvious, I guess. And you kind of already guessed it, but yet, movie took forever to get there. And it was just really irritating on that front where you're just kind of waiting for the movie to give you the information that you kind of already guessed. And the movie's too long. It's like an hour and 42 minutes with credits. Should have been an hour 30 or an hour 20. Like, there really isn't a lot here. And also, I think, unfortunately, like her dad, she has a lot of her dad's negative traits with his films, which is no matter how good the film is, usually, depending on, you know, what film you get, I guess. Night Shyamalan's kind of weird. But depending on what the film is, dialogue's always going to be an issue. It's just always going to be an issue. And it's no different here. There's so many moments I'm just listening to these characters speak, and I'm like, you're not talking like fucking humans. You're not reacting like fucking humans. And it did bug me. Not enough to take me out of the movie, because I think most of the performances work and still manage to keep me engaged and keep me on the edge of my seat, suspense and what's going on with this movie. But I do think that this movie failed to just really work overall. It's not a bad movie. I think if it looks interesting to you, honestly, rent it on streaming. I wouldn't recommend going to the theater because I think that if you're going to spend your hard-earned money, it should be on something a little bit better than something like this. But if you do decide to do it, I can't blame you because this isn't a bad movie. I think you will leave the theater mostly enjoying this film, but I do not think all of it works together to make a very good horror movie. I wish, though, how cool, let me know in the comments if you think this is a good idea. How cool would it have been if they put this movie and Trap Out the same weekend, M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, and then they sold them as a double feature where you could watch both together. Same thing with Immaculate and The First Omen. I know some theaters were actually doing that with Immaculate and First Omen. I actually saw the director of Immaculate talking about that. But for real, like, how cool would that be? I'd be down for it. Let me know if you'd be down for that. And let me know if you like this film or not. I wasn't a big fan. I didn't hate it. I thought there were some moments of great direction. There's actually moments of standout cinematography, creative horror in here, imagery. It's just really the pace of the movie and how much they're trying to hide information without from you without properly explaining it, and really just a lot of that, and also how guessable some of those mysteries are in the end. I just think this movie did not work for me, but it was nice to see Dakota Fanning in a movie. It's been a while. You know, you see Ella Fanning in movies pretty often, but not her sister so much anymore. Um, Very interesting movie that just did not work for me.